Today, I'd like to just talk briefly about stock photography. Greetings YouTubers, I'm Paul and this is Diary of a Stock Photographer. Today I'd like to just talk briefly about stock photography. Stock photography has changed quite a lot over the years. The first stock photo libraries began to take hold in the 1920s and I started shooting stock and submitting images by post in the 1990s. There are many more agencies and photo libraries than there are now. Many have either closed or been bought out since then. Can you imagine a huge room with hundreds of thousands of images indexed into different subject matter? How different things were then. There were many agencies, some were generic, some were specialty, nature, celebrities, landscapes, etc. Each year a book came out called the Freelance Photographer's Market Handbook. In this it had a list of all the agencies, their addresses and the minimum submission requirements. And often you would need a minimum submission of several hundred images in your portfolio before they would even consider you. This was because editors were very picky about what they kept and they would only want the best images and they did not want to waste yours or their time and effort if they didn't think there was potential in your work to sell. There was no internet back then and you would only find out what sold when you received a sales report the month later, and you would only be paid when the client paid the agency. Sometimes clients paid months later. 90 days was not uncommon. It's a bit worrying looking back. Every month would be a complete surprise and you would always be on tenterhooks until your sales report would arrive through the post. During this time, images sold as rights managed, or otherwise known as RM in the stock photo industry, was sometimes called licensed images. This refers to the copyright license which, if purchased by a user, allows a one-time use of the photo as specified by that license. If the user wanted to use the photo for any uses additional to what the license was purchased for, they would need to buy another license. RM licenses can be given on a non-exclusive or exclusive basis. Images sold only as rights managed. Customers phoned up agencies requesting an image and tell the agency how they would use it. Often they would phone up the agency and say, we want an image of Big Ben, for instance, at night time, and then the agency would send them a selection of those images and the customer would select the one they wanted to use. Then they would say, we want to use it for a front page of a magazine, and obviously this would be more expensive than a quarter page inside, or billboards would be even more expensive. Obviously the more eyes that would see that image, the more expensive the price would be, and these prices were generally the same across all agencies. Once a customer had paid for the image, the transparency would be then sent by post to the customer. They would use it how it was requested, how they'd arranged, and then it was posted back to the agency. Over time, the agencies produced CDs with thousands of images on, and this was a time when they started to sell as royalty-free, although royalty-free prices were then still quite high in comparison today. With the advent of the internet, agencies started to scan all their back catalogue, and with the invention of digital cameras, agencies started to sell all their images available to view on their website. Customers could then view and download them, and the agencies often had different portfolios for rights managed and royalty-free images. Royalty-free, or RF, on the other hand, refers to a copyright license where the user has the right to use the picture without many restrictions based on a one-time payment to licensor. The user can therefore use the image on several projects without the purchase any additional license. RF cannot be given on an exclusive basis. Very few agencies now sell images on a rights managed basis. Nearly all images, including all those from microstock, are now royalty free. Generally the agency would take 50% back then. This has changed massively over the years. Obviously you will sell more images as your portfolio grew, and it would take years for sales to take off, and each month could fluctuate hugely. But prices were much higher then than they are today. One sale may be enough to pay off your whole trip or lens or camera. With the advent of the internet and stock footage, much has changed since those early days. It has only been over the last decade that agencies have decided to sell images for royalty-free and have ceased to sell images with rights managed. Far easier to sell images as royalty-free, prices are generally lower and a lot less work to worry about, and prices have continued to tumble ever since. Whether this is a good idea or not is something to be discussed in a different video.